Welcome to the Circle Sessions featuring the Circle of Experts. Each week, one of the Circle of Experts joins me to talk about critical aspects of growing your podcast. We focus on marketing, social media, monetization, and website design to help you implement all of these together. Circle of Experts are Yasmine Robles from Robles Designs, Tanisha English-Amamu of TJE Communications, and Don the Idea Guy. I'm Brett Johnson, my podcast guy from Circle 270 Media Podcast Consultants. This week, Yasmine is here from the Circle of Experts. Yasmine works alongside clients to design a website that's driven by strategy, looks amazing, and that you can actually use to grow your podcast and then in turn your business as well. Well, Yasmine, Izzy, welcome back to the Circle Sessions. Glad to have you back again for this session. We, in our last episode with you two, we're talking about sales funnels. And we want to kind of go a little bit into, in this episode, turning your website into a lead generation machine. So kind of that same concept. Let's, Yasmine, go back to that idea of, making a compelling lead magnet. Let's readdress what those are, what they look like, as simple as they can be or as complicated as you want them to be.
Yeah. I know we talked about defining your audience. So just making sure, again, understand why you're creating this freebie, this lead magnet, and if it actually solves a problem for them, because that's really why they're going to give you their email address. And a couple of ways that you can do this is by ebooks, checklists, like downloadable PDFs, webinars. You can even do a live webinar, record it, and then have that just evergreen ongoing. You can just, and within those, you would encourage people to give you their contact info. So name, email. And we did talk about, depending on your audience and what they're used to, you could potentially ask for more information, but I've only really seen that on bigger white papers for like big companies. That's when they ask for things like the revenue and the bigger the investment it seems that you're going to sell to them, the more questions they would ask on a freebie and the more robust that freebie is. But if you're just a regular like small business and you have an ebook or something like that, it would just be like name, email, and then you send them the downloadable item.
Right. So, Izzy, when we're talking about calls to action, let's take a look at how they are on your website. Obviously they need to be clear and they need to, kind of pull you in. How do you do that? How do you guide them to, sign up or purchase?
Yeah, so it's really about the clear like user experience and how people are navigating websites now. So again, if they can't find that button and it's not clear, they're not going to hit it. So let's say for our website, they go to our services page and they are interested in one specific service that we offer. And we give a little description about what the service is, and then want to find out more info, click here. It has to be directly under it, and it is clear like that is what they are hitting that button for. Instead of like putting a bunch of info throughout the website and then there's just one call to action at the bottom. It's like, is this the right thing that I need to be clicking? What am I filling out right now? Like, I don't know if I did the right thing. Like, if you also make them ask those types of questions, you don't want that. So
Right.
it's like a clear sign up for like what they're looking for and like what you're offering. I'm trying to think of another example, but again, with just like purchases and different things throughout the website too, if it's hard to add something to your cart because maybe and I'm just adding in other factors here, but like if your website loading speed is so slow that I can't add something into my cart, I will go to another website. Or if you have a bunch of pop-up ads getting in the way of me adding it to my cart, I will not add it to my cart. So then at the end of it, again, like if let's say they already have it in their cart, if your checkout process is not like streamlined and efficient where they can like not add in like a bunch of different information, like if you want to automate it and use things like Apple Pay or like other bigger like payment methods that people are using now, like Venmo. I mean, I still use my credit and debit card for everything, but I'm saying like if they're not able to, one, see that, two, be able to like confirm the information before they're buying it. That's another big thing, especially for me. If I go to a website and I'm trying to place, like, let's say the first page I had to put in my address where everything was going to be shipped, and then the second page I'm filling all my like credit card information out, and then at the bottom it's like, okay, confirm purchase, but I can't go back to the last page to make sure I typed in everything correctly. I'm gonna restart that process again, and then my anxiety in my head is going to say, oh no, you didn't type it in right again, and then it's just going to become like this whole process, and then ultimately I will probably not end up making the purchase. So
Or
it's
did, did
all
I
up.
did, or did I actually buy it the first time and
Yeah, literally.
yeah,
Or
right.
if like following up with that, it's like, oh, did I get my email confirmation? Oh crap, did I send it to the wrong email? How am I going to track this? Oh, the email doesn't say what address I put on it either. Oh no, like, did I type in the right card info? All this other stuff that could definitely, like, with the user experience and like what they're wanting, like if it's not a straight up call to action of what they need and what they want, like you will add in all those like anxiety factors, what's going on factors, or
Mhm.
don't even want to deal with this anymore. So yeah.
Yeah. I could even see going back to that process of the click button.
Hmm.
That I've seen buttons that are just say click here, but it's like, but does that really take me where I want to go? You could
Yeah.
be very specific in that click button saying click here to purchase or click here to download. Be as specific as you can be on that button, I would think.
Yep. Again, with like the click here, it's like, where's it going to take me?
Right.
Like, is it just going to like automatically try to check me out, different things like that? If again it's like not even a purchase button, it's like, okay, is this just like some sketchy thing that I'm going to click and then it's going to start downloading something on my laptop? That's one of my fears all the time. So it's like,
Right.
what am I clicking here for? What is it going to give me? And can I even see the button? I think are the
Yeah.
main things that people have to ask. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I Yasmin, you mentioned a little bit. I think, well, both of you actually mentioned a little bit about pop-ups and the slide-ins and such. Can you talk a little bit about the strategy of that? I mean, when should it happen? Should it happen? To me, they're kind of annoying, but they're annoying. And again, this is personal experience. They're annoying when they happen too quickly.
Mhm.
I get that. But again, but what is the good timing of it? How do you know?
Well, you know by testing, but I
Yeah.
would say that if you're thinking about pop-ups, really think about back to what you said, that you don't want it to just come up immediately when you just landed on the page. It's like, let me get my bearings.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so you can do a couple of things, and most of them have now, most of the pop-up widgets or like Squarespace, Shopify, Klaviyo, they've all implemented this where you can time it. So if it's somebody who has the page has loaded and they've been there for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, then it'll show up. Or by scroll, how far down did they scroll?
Okay.
And then the pop up can show up. And then just look at that conversion rate of that pop up and make adjustments as necessary. It also, again, it depends on what kind of website or what kind of sale you're
Yeah.
having. Are you like doing Black Friday, or
Yeah.
it just really depends on a couple of different factors, but just keep those in mind. And then there's the kind that, especially in e-commerce, they will slide in there's ones that will have a peekaboo effect where it'll be at a corner of a website, and it'll just say something like get free shipping, and when you click it, it'll come up a little bit, and then you can input your information. It's basically the same thing, except it has a peekaboo effect that's hidden. It's still on your site almost the entire time, but it is down at a corner somewhere. Those work really well, especially with e-commerce, or if you're selling merch or anything like that. I like those, but really making sure that you're keeping track of the analytics, because the worst thing that could happen is, and I've had this experience where one of my friends, she was an affiliate for a water bottle, and I think I've told a story on this podcast at some point. But she was going to she was one of her first affiliate links or something, and so and it was like a 1 gallon thing of water, and I wanted to be healthy. And so I went to the site, and literally every single page that I would go into to try to figure out which water bottle I wanted, what color I wanted, the pop up would come up. So I would have left that site if it hadn't been because I had a connection to my friend.
Right.
Now, it was a very small business. It was a startup. They were trying this affiliate thing with my friend. They would have missed out on growing their brand because of that pop up. So just making sure that it's not coming up on every page. You can also do something where when somebody exits out of it, they might not, even if they come back to your site, they might not see it for 2 weeks or 30 days. And you can set that up on the back end just so that, because if, let's say they are interested in Brett's, like if they go to Brett's website and you happen to have a pop-up and they weren't interested, but they come back 2 weeks later, you don't want to be annoying again and having to show them something. But again, it depends on that growth strategy. It depends on what kind of business you have, but just making sure that you're looking at not being annoying. But pop-ups do work. So just with power comes great responsibility, I guess.
All right. So officially, when you offer the different pop-up and slide-ins, do you call it a peekaboo slide-in?
That's what
Is that
I call it.
okay?
There's different
I
names for
like
different
that.
platforms.
I think if it catches on from this podcast, you should register that a peekaboo slide-in. I love that because it describes it perfectly. Love it. We, in our last episode talking about this, we did talk about a little bit about optimizing landing pages. Izzy, can you, I think we understand that, but I think it's a little bit more hyper focused because it's that lead generation situation versus a website per se. Can you talk a little bit about, optimizing landing pages?
Yeah, so, well, one, I'll give it to Yasmine before I talk because she's the expert on this.
Gotcha. Sure.
So,
Sure.
Yeah, sure. So optimizing, I would say it depends. Again, it goes back to what your people expect from you. But a landing page has one goal. If you are creating a landing page and it has a freebie and it has something else, and it's too much. So you have one goal for this page, and let's say it is to give people free shipping over 50. Well, then the only thing they see might be a product image and not a product image clicking to the product, but just a product image and the form where they can put in their email address, their name, and then click submit. The next thing that you could do there is redirect them. So if you are if you're an e-commerce site, you could that little form, depending on what you're using, like Klaviyo, that little form can then actually change and it'll give them the coupon code immediately.
Hmm.
Or you can redirect them to a thank you page. Let's say you are a service-based business and you're offering like a free checklist or downloadable item. You can redirect them. And for service-based businesses, especially, it's really great to have a video thanking people, telling them about next steps, maybe making some kind of joke. It depends on your brand.
Hmm.
And then they can download it from that thank you page, as well as receive it in that thank you email that they're going to get.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. We haven't talked about embedded forms or widgets. Can we talk a little bit about what the concept of those are and then how to integrate those into the sign up forms?
Yeah, so when it comes to embedded forms and widgets, the beauty of the tech is that it's as easy as copy and paste, but with some caveats. So, for example, if you're using Mailchimp and you copy and paste directly their code, Mailchimp forms usually look really ugly, and so you'll need to do some
Hmm.
front end development to just get them looking brand appropriate, and so that it doesn't look like you literally copied and pasted it. There's a couple of things that we have run into with widgets or embedded forms, depending on the type of company that is bringing in that form. Because basically, what an embed is a snippet of code that then calls to this other company, whether it's Mindbody, MailChimp, it calls to these other companies and pulls in elements. So, Flowdesk, for example, if I embed something on my site, that is coming from Flowdesk, I need to either really make it look brand appropriate on Flowdesk or code it onto my site so it looks brand appropriate. Some other ones, though, are a bit clunky, especially I've noticed the ones that have to do with health. So those will pull in. Sometimes you cannot edit the background. They might be like a not great color, and then they will pull in very tall because what's going on is that it's pulling in the only thing you see is that one part of the form, but if there's multiple steps and if that form looks really tall, it's probably because there's going to be a pop-up, or it's going to pull information that then has to be displayed within that height. So it's automating the height, but it looks like it's a bunch of blank space, but you
Mm.
actually, like myself, if I just copied and pasted it, I can't make that shorter in any way unless I'm then going to hide the content. So that's just a little bit of a tech, but usually they go very well. They perform really seamlessly. You just copy and paste it onto your website. And then depending on whether it's Kartra, MailChimp, it'll depend on how they look.
We mentioned a little bit, I keep going back to our previous episode about sales funnels, but one leads into the other, and both of these episodes are standalone, but they work together. But it's important to have testimonials, no matter what you do, and some social proof. So, Izzy, let's talk about how to integrate those testimonials and social proof. Looking at success stories or reviews. I mean, how do you put that into this? What should it look like? Again, depending on the brand, but what's the strategy behind using those tools?
Yeah, definitely. So there's different ways you can go about it. One, it just depends on like what age group that's like looking for this type of proof, like and to what the company is and what they do. But for us, for example, we've done video testimonials about like people talking about working with us and like what did you think that you got out of it? Like, why did you go with us in the first place? Kind of like asking those questions that most people want to ask the person. Like, if you're trying to get like, let's say you're talking to a friend and you're like, oh, why did you pick that? Like, you're trying to get the information out of them and like get that kind of like recommendation. That's the way that we kind of go about it. I feel like other ways to do it is just take those. Either if it's just a review from like Google reviews or like if a client emailed you saying like you did a good job, highlighting those on your social pages or even like just within your company, like what did we do this month that was great just for us? Like Yasmine's gonna go speak at this tomorrow, but like we're gonna probably post a picture about it and be like, that was amazing, like opportunity, like good job, Yasmine. You know what I'm saying? And then just different ways to engage conversation and one build trust with what we do. Like even if it's like a anniversary of your company, different things. Highlight what your team members are doing that you feel is great is another thing. But overall, like doing this stuff is just like building how people view your company over anything. So like I know for certain things, like if I'm looking to do something, I will always go check the reviews before I check anything on the website. I will go on TikTok and use that like a search engine and tell like TikTok will tell me if it's a good idea or a bad idea. For more professional things, I'll go on LinkedIn and be like, "Okay, but like they haven't posted anything. Like that's a little weird. Like
Mhm.
that makes me uncomfortable. Like why aren't they like up to date on that kind of stuff?" So, but yeah, having like an active social one makes me feel more comfortable and like making some decisions, and then two, like what are people saying about you and how are you being perceived by other people? So,
Yeah. I was wondering, I was going to ask you, being, if you can do this, brand agnostic, that social proof, do you think video is probably maybe the strongest? Having video, because I see these testimonials that it's like, love this product from the very beginning, and it's signed A. Taylor. It's like,
mhm,
it looks almost made up.
yeah,
And it's like, well, that doesn't really give me anything when you just put quotes. And I know those are important, but it's like, boy, if you can put a video in there or something like that, that to me seems like it's like the pinnacle of
yeah.
testimonials to do something like that.
That's why video is so great, or, like, even if you can't get a video out of that client, like, even just asking, like, "Hey, can I use your name and, like, tag you?"
Yeah.
Like, that's still giving it the proof that people
Yeah.
might need, like, "Oh, I didn't just make up a Taylor."
Right.
But,
I
like,
know. Yeah.
just, like, a picture of them and then, like, tagging them within the post, it's like, eh whoever at blah 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 said this about us, like, and then they typically, when you tag them, because you're again like linking their stuff to yours at that point when tagging them, they'll typically comment, and then it's like, oh, that's even better. It's like usually if we do that kind of stuff, we get like a so great working with you guys in the
Mhm.
comments or something like that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
even if it's a screenshot of what it was on social, you can't really. Yeah, I guess you could Photoshop stuff. Of course, anything
yeah,
could be done, but it's that screenshot of what happened on a social media platform. At least is better than a quote bubble.
yeah, definitely.
Honestly, just looking at that, it's just like, what a waste of space. I've just more and more, it's been hitting me that way. Going, no, if I'm ever going to do that, I want, at least to do something. It exists in the wild somehow, and take a screenshot of it. Exactly. Yasmine, we've been really, almost every episode we talk about analytic tools, the freebies or things that are paid, that sort of thing. This sounds as though that you need to rely on tools to know what's really working. Can you address some of them that make sense, that right from the top? You got to have this. You need to do this as a start.
Yeah, the best free ones are Google Analytics, Google Search Console. Those are free. Just install them onto your site. Hotjar has a free option, and that's the one that'll give you what we call a heat map and recording of what people are doing on your site, how far down they scrolled, what was the biggest thing that was clicked. Those are pretty cool. There are some paid ones like SEMrush, SEMrush. That one is really more specific for keyword research, tracking what keywords you're coming up for, what errors are coming up on your site. And depending on your platform, there might be errors that you can't really do much about, or what the platform is integrated with. So those are some that you can track. And it depends on the size of your business and what campaign you're running. I know in some episodes we've talked about having a paid campaign and organic search and SEO. And if all that's happening at the same time, I would look at Google Analytics. I would look at all of these at least once a week.
Hmm.
If you are, slow and steady kind of growth, you can look at it. I think Izzy said it in another episode or in this one, to look at it once a month. And if it is just really just you in the business and your only goal for this next year or next quarter is to increase your traffic through SEO, because you're going to be blogging or creating these podcast episodes into blog posts, then look at it in 3 months, because that's one of the things that grows a bit slower, but it can make a bigger impact. So you don't want to be checking it every day and get nervous and then stop doing it.
Right. So you brought up a good point. And when you said check it every week, check it every month, I know a listener's probably listening going, no, I don't have time to do this. I can't, I know it's important. I can't do this. So let's talk about how to get a hold of you, at least to discuss, is there a middle ground going, okay, yeah, you should do this, but we can help too. That sort of thing. So how can they get a hold of you guys about this?
Yeah, you can find me and Izzy on LinkedIn. Go hunt us over there and like some of our funny videos or pictures. If you want to download a marketing checklist, it is robustdesigns.com/checklist. And that can help walk you through a lot of that marketing, almost like an audit, like your DIY audit of your marketing, your website, your SEO, all that stuff. And you can always bribe us with carbs and coffee. That is our go-to. Or unless it's later in the day, then it's like more like tequila and tacos.
Gotcha. And if anything, if this is resonating for what you're doing with your podcast, because that's kind of why we bring this to the forefront. But there are a lot of other nuances to what we talk about with the circle sessions. But if it's specific to a podcast, get a hold of me, mypodcastguy.com. Obviously, if it ends up being some social as well as website design, making better use of what you already have, or you're starting from the beginning, we're going to pull in Robust Designs as well to talk a little bit more about that. But it's easy to get a hold of either one of us, get on our booking calendar, and let's talk. So Izzy, Yasmine, thanks again for joining me.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks for
you.
having us.